would be 8 lots in the subdivision. So it's essentially that was, the purpose there was to make sure that the community had a first right of refusal yeah, to that, and just to ensure that that question actually be asked. Got a question here from Robin Berger, and I'll read it regarding affordable housing. Could you let us know where we are as far as when we will see any affordable housing units being built, and who you see being the first to house? So,
Right here.
hi Robin, thanks.
Could I make a quick comment as far as the meeting venue goes, adding to what Jan was saying? I think this meeting venue could be a little more accessible to people with physical disabilities.
Yeah.
Just a comment. Thanks.
So you posed this question, Councilor?
Well, as the council liaison to the Affordable Housing Working Group, and the council has struck an Affordable Housing Working Group, of which Elizabeth Valentine is the chair, and she's here today. And there's quite an extensive terms of reference, and one of the first casts is an affordable housing policy, which we've seen the first draft of. We have a budget of $35,000 for consultants, and we are working with Tim Wake, who we are very fortunate to have in the community because he established the Whistler Housing Corporation, and he's very, very knowledgeable. He's just written a guidebook for smart growth on affordable housing solutions. So the first step is the policy that we can use when we are dealing with rezoning applications, so that people coming with an application to rezone will know that there is an expected component of affordable housing to provide. And I'm hoping personally, and I think the committee is, that with the surplus lands and the surplus lands working group, that when we do develop some of those community lands, that they will be one of the first choices for that. But we are also hope that, and so the policy should be coming to council sometime by the end of May, and that's the first step.
Could I just clarify my question?
Sure.
The
please.
question was...
Can you stand up, Robin?
no, actually, I prefer to sit because...
fine.
The question was, when do you see the housing being built?
When?
And the second part was, who do you see being housed first?
So the question is, when is it going to be built? And who
Or when do you see that happening?
Yeah.
And who do you see as being housed first?
Yeah.
Those are all questions that the working group's working on, and so I don't think we can give you a definite date at this point.
Okay, that answers my question.
Great.
Thanks.
Yes, it's in the needs assessment that was done. And it's, the simplest definition of affordable housing is housing where you don't spend less than 30% of your income on your housing. So it's a range. The needs assessment study is on the website.
Dave, you want to comment?
Well, I think Allison answered it pretty well, but Robin, obviously affordable housing is really important. You know, we all know that house prices and rentals have gone up enormously, so that the island is no longer affordable for many people. But to solve that, it's not something that we can solve directly. We don't have the money to build housing. You know, when you look at our budget, you know that we don't have the money. Unfortunately, the provincial government is not giving us the money for that. Neither is the federal government. So what does it mean? It means we set policies so that when, and we provide land, which we can do through the surplus land that Allison mentioned. We set policies so that when somebody's doing a rezoning, they have to put some affordable housing in it. So we can't answer the question to say when is it going to happen and who's going to be there, because we don't have the money to simply answer it by saying we're going to build some. We would if we could. We don't have the money. We can't. We can set policies to make it happen, and that's what we're doing. Okay?
But that's an answer in itself, right? Thanks.
Yeah. Great. So the next question is from Tim Rhodes.
I'm speaking on behalf of some members of the Chamber of Commerce who couldn't be here this morning because they're running their businesses. And these questions are going to relate, obviously, to taxes. Many of our members pay double tax, but this is a residential as well as commercial, either through property tax or rent on commercial properties. Over the past couple of years, many of those, or several of those members have gone to great effort and expense to build facilities, to offer services because of the limitations in recreation, in our facilities there, and in our programs. And they have, at their expense, built those facilities, and they're having some success there. However, there's a concern that the municipality is expanding their recreational services in a manner that actually tends to compete with them in some areas. And their concern is there a policy in the municipality about competition with private practice, and what is that policy? And they're very concerned that they're not paying taxes to actually compete with themselves. The other issue is around civic facilities, and I think many of our members in the community and in the chamber, as well as the community, think that this would be a wonderful thing to have these facilities. Our concern is that we don't think that the chamber, the municipality should be moving forward, spending money on schematic design prior to answering a couple of questions. One is, what are the projected operating costs? Capitalizing this thing is one thing. Running it year to year is another. These are the kinds of facilities that tend to use up a lot of public money. So there's concern on the membership's part that we not proceed spending more money there till that question is answered. And there's another pivotal question here, which was raised by the in rezoning, and that's the question of firefighting facilities and equipment, and whether or not the municipality is prepared to accept these kinds of buildings and the implications.
So we have two questions. One was regarding the policy of competition between services we might provide that the private might as well. Have you got an example in mind?
Recreationally, example of things like Pilates, yoga, anything that's competing with services that are in place. And also the issue of, if in fact there's an issue of trying to provide those services at a lesser rate, cannot they be in a public-private partnership through those facilities rather than elsewhere?
Okay. Starting with that first question, we don't have our recreation coordinator here, but Peter, you're very involved.
Well, I was on, the liaison to Parks and Rec, and certainly I can't answer in depth all of these things, but Fondgill came before council and asked this very question: are you going to compete with us? Originally, they wanted the municipality to build a facility in which there could be a partnership. In fact, then a lot of these private practitioners went on to build their own facilities and wanted assurance that their investment was safe. And I remember Bob, the mayor, answering quite clearly that we had no intention to pull the rug and undermine private enterprise. I think a very good example of that might be the weight room. That's something, Pilates and some of these programs, the individuals they are provided through under the municipal umbrella, and people have the option to do it as private contractors within that or entirely independently, and some choose to do both. So I think that that's a good working relationship. I think that it provides for options, and people can go to one or go to the other, and that's not a problem. When it does become a problem would be if we build a Cadillac gold-plated facility and then the private practitioners are essentially undermined. I hardly think that's going to happen. The weight room, which is planned in this civic facility, is 1,000 square feet. It would be actually a minimal, and it would be designed to be complementary to the private one which is owned. But those things they're being a number of models proposed, and that will be the kind of stuff which will be worked out well before something like this goes forward.
Can I also just add, Peter, that all our recreation programs by policy, they're not subsidized. they are cost recovery, they are done at